welcome to this week's Weekend Watch, and we're looking forward to Newmarket. We've got the proper flat future stars in action, which super looking forward to. Andrew Mount and Daryl Carter, as always, going to be digging out some stats and some winners for us. Thanks to SBK for the sponsorship of this video as well. We start at HQ with that 150, the Suffolk Stakes. We got a couple of unexposed 4 and 5 year olds at the top of the betting, and I just wondered whether Maydanny perhaps needed that break after a couple of disappointing efforts. He's won well fresh as well, unexposed over middle distances, so he'd probably be the one I'd perhaps just side with, but I'm sure Andrew and Daryl are going to tell me now why that's a bad idea. So let's start with you, Andrew, shall we?
Well, yeah, Mark Johnson, front runner at Newmarket, particularly on the rolling mile. That's plenty of ticks in boxes there for Maydanny, who has been well supported anti-post for this. But I just worry that the overrights in there as well. Yet another Mark Johnson front runner. So whether they'll be getting involved in the battle for the early lead. So Mark Johnson says that he doesn't give his jockeys instructions; he just lets them get on with it. And you do see on occasions that 2 from the same yard will take each other on. I'd certainly prefer that pair to Bell Rock, though, the current favourite, who I thought was flattered by his third in the Cambridgeshire last year. There was a massive draw and pace bias that day. There was a tailwind. You had to be down the Golden Highway, down the stand side. The winner, Majestic Dawn, 40-1, made all from a very high draw. You go through that race and you look at the subsequent form of those who were drawn sort of 12 plus. Absolutely shocking. I don't think a winner's come out of it. Bell Rock himself was beaten next time out at Ascot, and I just think he's too short, round about 3-1 or 7-2. So I was quite interested in Mascat here. Since he's been gelded, he's run in 2 really hot handicaps. The Lincoln Consolation Race, the Spring Mile at Doncaster, behind the very progressive Artistic Rifles. And then second to another progressive sort in Zabeel Champion in another hot race at Ripon. So I thought Mascat for Rafe Beckett. Yard's been in fantastic form. 6 winners from 19 runners in the past fortnight at the time of recording. So he'll do for me around about 6 or 7-1, I think.
Yeah, I've got Mascat at 13-2. Talking of yards being in tremendous form, Daryl, Charlie Appleby in the last couple of weeks, unbelievable strike rate from the kind of few that they've ran. I think 40-something% at the minute they're operating at as regards winners to runners.
I wouldn't know. You're trying, aren't you? You're prodding. I actually like Bell Rock for this race. I know Andrew's just giving him an absolute belt in there, but he's £15 better off with Maydanny for a 5-length defeat, including William Carver's £5 claim. I actually think this is the time of year to catch him first time up after a break. Ran a scorcher here at Newmarket after a 332-day break last year in June, beating Uzo by a neck, made up considerable ground that day, called an RPI of 108. He's effectively off the same sort of mark here under this claim. I think he goes well at Newmarket. He's one of the few in here that will handle the track. And I didn't think there was too many negatives against him, to be honest. He's a horse. He was nearly horse last year, if you like. Right, that Ascot run last time off, first time cheek piece on soft ground. That wasn't him at all. I thought in the Cambridgeshire, I thought he was actually he would have finished a little bit closer with a clearer run inside the final furlong. He wouldn't have won. It wouldn't have, he would have finished closer than the 5-length defeat suggests, though. I think he's a nice horse. I'd like to see him ridden a little bit more prominently. They keep holding him too far out the back, running on late. I always thought he wanted a mile 2, but this 1 mile 1, stiff 1 mile 1 at Newmarket should suit him well. I think if he's gonna be winning this season off this sort of mark, because 103 does leave you in a bit of a dodgy place, doesn't it? You can't, you're not a listed class horse, and you can't win a handicap off it. But I thought with a £5 claim, first time up fresh at Newmarket, was going to be the time he was going to do it. So Bell Rock for me.
Okay, so Bell Rock as regards a mark stuck between a rock and a hard place then. Couldn't help it. Bell Rock for Daryl. He's about 7-2 at the moment. Maydanny for me, it's about 6-1. And Andrew, a bit more value at the moment with Mascat, who's about 13-2. So that's for that 150 at Newmarket. We stick at HQ. The Palace House is a Group 3 contest at 225. And we've got Came from the Dark and Gareth. They're going to fight it out again. With the former who came out on top last time, Daryl.
Yeah, this is a tricky race. It's not a lot between a lot of these horses. do you know the one I'm going to actually roll the dice with and give a little bit of a go to is Dubai Station, a bit of a big price. This horse is pretty unexposed over 5 furlongs. His last run of the season last year before going to Robert Cowell was at Goodwood behind Batash in that Group 2 there. He was never on terms. It was just a terrible run, to be quite honest with you. But he'd been over 6 furlongs prior to that and just not really seeing out the trip behind Royal Crusade over in Deauville. Similar sort of thing at Ascot in the Group 1 behind Golden Horde in the Commonwealth Cup. He was a good winner on reappearance last term over a horse that I was absolutely devastated that went abroad, was Malatru at Newcastle. Won that quite nicely over 6 furlongs there, but he was really holding on at the finish. He's not been over 5 furlongs, other than that Goodwood run since his Norfolk run as a 2-year-old behind Al Ali. Only beaten 3 lengths there, stayed on really strongly at the finish. I think a stiff 5 furlongs would really suit him, and I think, again, fresh, first time up is probably the time to catch Dubai Station. Thought he could just go a little bit under the radar. He's got some nice form in his hands. He could just spark up going to Robert Cowell, who does wonderful things with these sprinters he picks up. He's got 3 in here, but Ross Orion's on Dubai Station, and I like that move.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't try him a bit more over 5 furlongs, to be fair. Dubai Station is 16 to 1 at the moment, so good each way price on the stable debut for one of the Sprint Kings, you'd say, Robert Cowell. Andrew?
Yeah, good race this. I've taken a chance with Arecibo for Robert Cowell, one of his others in the race. And
World's
this
luckiest owner.
Exactly, yeah, Mr. Tom Morley, our radio colleague. Arecibo had a reputation for being a bit of a twicer when with David O'Mara, would often run well in big field
handicaps. I thought you were going to say something else then. Oh, no.
No, not at all.
Fine.
But I always had the theory that he was better in smaller fields, and in a field of just 11 runners on his debut for the yard at Newmarket, nice wide open track, he was afforded plenty of room. I spoke to Tom before the race. He reckoned all 3 of his horses in that race would improve for the outing. That was what his trainers were telling him. And Arecibo still managed to win, because that race has worked out well with one of the owner's other horses, Araj Fan, finishing down the field in 6th, I think, in that race and coming out and winning at Chelmsford the other day. So I think Arecibo will improve for that. He should get the race run to suit. I don't generally like Godolphin horses in group sprints for older horses. I'm quite happy to take on Lazuli at the price. Came from the Dark is a horse I do like, but all his wins are at Newbury and Haydock. You just wonder whether he's going to cope with the stiffer track or not. I mean, Judicial is a fairly short price, but he's a 9-year-old now, and he's been beaten in this race 3 times previously, placing on a couple of occasions, admittedly. But when he's sort of 11 to 2, you're thinking, well, there's got to be value elsewhere in the race. And I keep coming back to Arecibo to make it 2 from 2 for the yard. So I know in terms of ratings, he's rated, 99? And he's got a bit to find. Were this a handicap, he'd be getting weight from plenty of these, but he's running off levels. But I think that mark underestimates him, and I think Robert Cowell might have found the key to him. And round about 8 to 1, I think he's the value in the race.
Yeah, he seemed to really enjoy himself at Newmarket last time, didn't he? Arecibo, he's the only previous course and distance winner in that field as well. So Arecibo at the moment is about 9 to 1. Dubai Station 16 to 1. So both good each way value there. So you could take a chance and have a little bit on both. The 3 o'clock, we've got a Group 2 over a mile and a half. Fairly small turnout for this. Conditions to suit Pile Driver. He was one of the stories, wasn't he? Last year, probably, he is lacking race fitness, so that's obviously one thing where some of the others aren't. Would we be put off by that, Andrew?
Yes, and I'd be siding with Sir Ron Priestley for the Mark Johnson yard. Surprised he's not favourite, actually. I think he will go off as favourite because he also looks like he'll get the run of the race out in front. Now, we didn't see him last year at all. He reappeared at Nottingham in April, his first run since finishing second to Logician in the 2019 St Ledger at Doncaster. And he's run a good race from the front. He's bossed it, and he's seen off Ocean Wind, who, of course, went on to chase home Stradivarius at Ascot this week. And you look at Sir Ron Priestley's form since he's been stepped up to a mile and a half or further, 6 wins from 8 starts, second in the St Ledger, and are down the field at Ascot on unsuitably soft ground, a track that, as a general rule, eats front runners alive on the round course and just didn't play to his strengths. So Newmarket, we've seen time and time again on the rolling mile. You get rolling in front, particularly in small fields, you can make all. I think Mark Johnson's had 5 horses who've made the running in this race previously. 2 of those have won at big prices, including Communique last year. And I just thought Sir Ron Priestley could be hard to pick up here. And, as long as this doesn't come too soon, what's it going to be? Just over 3 weeks after that comeback run. Then as long as he doesn't bounce, I thought, he'd be a hard horse to pass. So around about 5-2, I thought it was a fair bet.
Okay, yeah, I got 5-2 as well. What do you think about Pile Driver? Obviously, we've got trainers joining forces there as well, haven't we, now that they can share the licence?
Yeah, I do like Pile Driver as a horse. I don't like the horse for Newmarket, though. Ran here on the Rolling Mile. What was the race running? The Royal Lodge just looked completely unbalanced. Went to Epsom, and if you watch him down the field in the Derby, he was hanging all to the left, hanging to the right on the undulations there. Yeah. His best form has come on flatter tracks, like York, Doncaster, and even Ascot. So I was quite willing to take him on, and I thought Sir Ron Priestley actually was was a horse definitely to take him on with. It was quite a strong fancy from me for Sir Ron Priestley. This horse, like Andrew said, he said it all in a nutshell. Really, at Nottingham, it was a fine victory there. I don't think dropping back slightly in trip to a mile and a half will hurt him at all. He's going to get the run of the things out in the front end. A lot of people was going to look at this race and think that 4-year-olds got a great record in this race. So I just thought it was worth bringing up that there's been 32 4-year-olds running this race out of 53 runners in the last 10 years. So when you look down the Roll of Honour and it says all 4-year-olds, because they pretty much dominated the fields over the years. So I didn't think that was an angle worth worrying about. I just wanted to mention. I do like El Zarakan as well. I think he's a nice horse, but again, he ran at Newmarket on his debut, and he's got quite a high head carriage in there. That would just worry me for the track here. The undulations going back to Newmarket. Of course, all of his best form has come on your weather in his last 3 starts, but he does look a really smart horse. I thought the biggest danger to mine and Andrew's Sir Ron Priestley was going to be Pablo Escobar, who has similar form lines to Sir Ron Priestley. There's a line through a couple of horses that just gives Sir Ron Priestley the edge. He does go well fresh, Pablo Escobar, and I think they're going to drop in and just sit just off of Sir Ron Priestley and try and do him for a turn of foot. But I thought there was absolutely nothing wrong with Mark Johnson's Sir Ron Priestley. Look, Andrew said, providing he doesn't bounce, I think he's actually a good bet, and I thought he should have been favourite for this.
Yeah, I suppose, as you said with Al Zarakan, I know form's been on the all-weather. I suppose it's not even the surface; it's the fact that it's they're straightforward, more or less flat tracks. They're not difficult, are they?
Yeah, and he's got that high head carriage. You just wonder when these horses go into that dip, they tend to look around a bit. That can unbalance them a bit. Whereas a horse like Sir Ron Priestley or even a Pablo Escobar, even Thunderers, they sort of have their heads down. They're running into the dip as such. You get what I mean? So this track, if a horse doesn't run well at Newmarket once, you're best off avoiding it, I think, the next time.
Yeah, and he's trained by Mark Johnson, so he's going to be battle-hardened anyway. Sir Ron Priestley then, for both Andrew and Daryl, for that 3 o'clock. Good to start agreeing on a few. The 340 at Newmarket is, of course, the 2,000 guineas, and none of us are surprised that the O'Briens have a strong hand in here. I'm going to stick with my original. Love the way that Master of the Seas went about things last time. There at Newmarket, powered up that hill, was short of room at a crucial stage, had to be switched around horses. I just thought there was plenty to like about that. You'd assume of the Godolphin horses, William Buick has had the pick, so I thought that once William Buick chose this horse, he'd actually shorten up a bit more, but let's hope that William Buick's right, and so am I. Daryl, do you want to go first?
This is a really, really, really good race. I don't think we've got a real standout star this year, as we had Pinatubo, etc. before. I think, but I just think we've got a really good crop of horses, so it does make it very, very difficult. And you can literally make a case going all the way down to the likes of Devil Waller at 100 to 1. So this is a very, very good race. Wembley, I thought at the top of the market, it's been well supported this week. I thought was better than the Bear Result the last twice. At Newmarket in the Dewhurst, he was drawn in stall 2, right out of the wing, right where you didn't want to be, basically. You wanted to be drawn high against that rail, as Sir Mark Basilica was. So he did remarkably well from a hold-out position to come wide round the field and make up the ground he did. It was sort of the same story for him in the National Stakes over at the Curragh behind Thunder Moon. He was drawn again out in stall 10, wide of where all the action was, and had to peel round runners and take a wide route. So I can see why he's been backed. You can sort of make cases for him. It just worries me that he's failing to get his head in front. When you're really good horses, you don't want to be making too many excuses, even when they are drawn, unfavourably. They can sort of overcome that. So that would worry me for Wembley. Mutasaabeq looked magnificent at Newmarket, as far as I thought he was fantastic. I loved everything about the performance. I really got excited by him. The one concern I've got with Mutasaabeq, is that all of the last 10 winners of this race have either won a Group 1 or a Group 2 as a 2-year-old. And that experience coming into this race. This race is basically like the final 2-year-old race before they then kick on their season as a 3-year-old. That's how I see it in my head. Yeah. I know they are 3, but I just feel like that experience coming into the race really does help them, although he could be top draw. And the one saving grace, I think, because I am going to have a couple of quid on him, one saving grace I've got with him is he's drawn stall 12, and what normally happens is these lot will normally break into 2 groups. There's 15 of them here, so whether or not they're going to do that, I'm not sure. But he's drawn high, he's drawn on the right side as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just thinking the fact that they're going to break into 2 groups, will he be... He won't be suffocated amongst a load of runners and, be lacking that sort of big field experience. So he might get away with it there. I do really like him. I think it's about time Jim Crowley won a Guineas, and the Shadwell lot won the Guineas. I do want to be Mutasaabeq. I'm going to have a couple of quid on Battleground as well, just a little bit of a saver. I thought he ran a blinder in the juvenile turf over at Kingland. He looked the best horse there by a mile. Just by the time he got going in that sort of scenario, the race was over. I think a real stiff track like Newmarket could suit him. So I'm going to have a couple of quid on him. I know Ryan's chosen Wembley, but I just thought Battleground was such a big 2-year-old last year, wasn't he? He was massive. I just thought he's going to fill that frame, and he's going to improve 2 to 3. So that's where I'm at. But like I say, don't let me put you off any horse in this race, because you can make cases for so many of them. It's going to be a fantastic race. I can't wait.
Andrew?
Yeah, it's incredibly tricky. I don't have a particularly strong opinion. I've not had a bet, and I don't think I'm going to, unless there's an obvious track bias on the day. The stalls are in the centre, but what we have seen when that happens on a number of occasions is that they migrate nearer to the stand side, and it does still favour those who are drawn high. Although we have got Devil Waller in stall 1 and the likely pace angle up the far side. I was quite interested in the Jim Bolger horse, Poetic Flair, who's coming out of stall 4, which might not be ideal. But he's won 3 of his 4 starts, and he was well beaten in the Dewhurst last year, finishing 10th. But he was 25 to 1. That was his second career start. That was a big ask, going from maiden winner after a 6-month break straight to a Group 1. The ground was very soft, which might have not been ideal. And I think it was just a bit of a sort of, exercise in, how will he travel over, and, needed a run. They said the reason he'd been off the track since March was that he'd done a lot of growing and just wasn't ready for another race. And then, after that, he popped up a week later, won a Group 3 at Leopardstown, and then followed that with a reappearance success again at Leopardstown on good ground this time, albeit in listed companies. So, Jim Bolger has only had 26 colts run at Newmarket this century. 8 of those won, profit of almost £31 to a £1 level stake. It's just that stall 4 draw, which is a little bit worrying. So Poetic Flair, won on the shortlist. And Chindit is another horse I like. We talked about him before. He won on his reappearance when he won the Greenham at Newbury, albeit narrowly. That's generally him, though. But he's won 4 of his 5 career starts. The only defeat came on soft ground in the Dewhurst, the only time he's encountered such a surface. And he was a big eye-catcher on his debut back in July when he won into the headwind at Doncaster. Now, slightly worrying, Richard Hammond said, halfway through the winter when he was training him, he thought he might end up being a 6 furlong horse. So whether this mile will suit or not remains to be seen. He could end up being a horse who sort of comes back in trip for something like the Commonwealth Cup. But he could be well drawn towards towards the stand side and stall 12. Hannon's done well in the yard over the years. But, you just worry about his stamina and whether, he's a horse to watch with the view to backing him at Royal Ascot. But, yeah, cracking race. No strong opinion.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? A couple there, though, at bigger prices with positive mentions from Andrew. Anyway, we've obviously got the 1,000 guineas as well on the Sunday, where we get the ladies in action. I've heard from plenty of people now all the good positive mentions that are coming about this Santa Barbara and how well she's been working and about the way she's been going about herself and improved. What do we think of all of those Chinese whispers, Andrew?
I'm not too taken with her, particularly at the price of 11 to 8. I know she won impressively on her debut, but the three horses who followed her home are now rated 87, 80 and 77. Yep. And, although she did it comfortably, she didn't exactly beat them by sort of, Frankel-style distances. So it's, not for me on her second career start at around about 11 to 8. I mean, I'm going to throw a few quid at one at a silly price, which you'll laugh at here. But this is the Sylvester Kirk horse, Seattle Rock. Now, she is talented, but she's a complete lunatic. I mean, to say she's a sandwich short of a picnic is an understatement. She's 2 sandwiches and a Scotch egg at least. She's an absolute fruitcake. But, you look at her form last season, she's run some really good races in group company. And, sometimes comes there like pulling double, head in the air, looking like she's going to fade and finish out the back of the telly, and then still manages to finish third. She didn't run badly at all behind Sacred here at Newmarket on her comeback. That run would have been needed. She's got beaten 5 lengths. And again, she's come from off the pace and stayed on at the business end. We know, generally speaking, it favours those who are on the front end of the rolling mile. She took a massive step forward from a first run to a second last year. She's the kind of horse that you don't want to be backing when she's 7-4 favourite in a maiden at Yarmouth in like 3 weeks' time, but you don't mind backing her at 80 to 1 or 100 to 1 for a group race and just thinking, well, rather than buy a lottery ticket, I'll have £1 each way on this one. But yeah, a very tentative each way stab. You might get a run for your money with Seattle Rock there.
Yeah, she wasn't beaten far in the Solaro Stakes there, was she? The Sweet Solaro Stakes. So that was probably one of her better efforts on the kind of ground conditions that we'll get as well. But yeah, as you say, hopefully she can keep a lid on things. That's the main thing. I've got 100 to 1 at the minute about the Apple Rock. So yeah, definitely worth a bit of a flyer. Anything that you overly like in there, Daryl?
No, to be honest with you, this race has got the complete opposite effect to me as the 2,000 guineas has this year. I'm struggling to warm to any of them, to be honest with you. I couldn't be backing Santa Barbara at 15 to 8. Not with your money. I couldn't do that. God, I know the whispers and all that are all good and stuff, but you've got to work with what you got to work with, haven't you? And what we've got to work with is her run at the Curragh, and it was impressive. Yes, it was. But like Andrew said, the form hasn't worked out. The RPR is only 91. It's not like she did an amazing time figure or anything. So I'm just struggling to deal with the fact that she's 15 to 8. Maybe it's the fact that this field's going to. Well, it's just a weak field this year. I don't know. I'm at a loss with it. I kept coming back to Sacred. To be honest with you, at a big price. Whether or not she's going to run, I don't really know. But she handles the track. I thought stepping up and trip was a little bit of a question mark, but she has got a lovely way of travelling through her races, so I didn't think it was going to be too much of an issue. And she's got a really nice turn of foot. I've not really seen that from any other horse in this field. I like alcohol free, but I don't think she's going to get the trip. Yeah, I just don't think she's going to.
She's too keen, isn't she?
Yeah, I know, and that's unfortunate because the 12 to 1's quite appealing, even though you think she might not stay, isn't it? Yeah. That's the sort of race where I'm at with it. Like you, I'm appealed by the 12 to 1 or whatever it is about alcohol free, and I don't think she's going to get the trip. So, yeah, I can't even give you a selection, Leonna. I really can't.
Well, we'll share alcohol free.
Yeah, go on.
I just think
that sounds like a right party, doesn't it? You and Daryl sharing alcohol free.
Yeah, that's not for me. That's not the life for me. Whether just, I think we've seen her on kind of goodish ground. Maybe if the ground's kind of a bit firmer, rattling, and maybe they'll just let her rip and she'll stay on for a place, maybe. Or maybe she just learned to start settling a bit better. But yeah, it is a difficult one. But Yeah, I was just about settled on alcohol-free. I thought I liked her. And Andrew's giving you one at a huge price, the Apple Rock. So again, both of them are each way prices. By all means, if closer to the time any of you come up with anything more exciting and you've got more of a stronger view than us, feel free to share it. Do either of you like anything else in any of the other contests at Newmarket?
No, not for me.
Daryl?
Yeah, I've got two. In the 115, I like Creative Force, a Godolphin sprinter like Andy doesn't love, but £8 for a winning return over course and distance. This is surely going to make up into a group horse. I think while the marker 97 looks high, he's only had 3 starts. Visually, just gave the impression that he's definitely one to keep on side. I think Creative Force is probably going to be a Royal Ascot horse for me. And in the 5:25, Magical Land runs off 87. Another Godolphin horse. William Buick, I'm hoping, is going to have a good day. Runs off 87. Looked like he wanted much further than 7 furlongs the last twice. Better than the Bear result last time. And although he's still a maiden, his underlining ability is definitely there. Mark of 87 on the Bear form looks a little bit high. But I think he's going to improve a ton for his reappearance run, and I think improve a ton for going up to a mile. So I definitely think Magical Land has got a fair shout. So top and tail of the card with the 2 Godolphin runners.
Okay. First and last races, then those extra selections for Daryl at Newmarket on the Saturday. On to Goodwood we go. We got a listed fillies race there at 2:05. The most unexposed of these, the most likely raced, is the current favourite, Lilac Road, heading the betting for Willie Haggis and Kieran Fallon. Daryl, what do we think of her chances in that?
I think she's got a fantastic chance. Receiving £13 in weight as a 3-year-old in this race, that's just so much weight for, especially for a front runner to receive as well. There's only 6 runners. She's drawn 5 or 6, but the only other front runner in the field is Mamora, who's drawn install 6 outside of her. So I think she's going to be able to get over and take these along. This is a horse that's going to want a bit further in future. I don't think she'll stop galloping all the way to the line, but receiving that weight is just it's just ridiculous. There's so much. It's £13, and she's rated 105. Now her rating might be slightly lofty on the bare form of what she's done, but she came out of Kempton.
£13 wrong.
Yeah, but not £13 wrong, and that's what it's going to have to be basically in this race. She came out of Kempton, looked really good when beating Kestadina of John Gosden's, and Thank You Next. Them 2 horses are rated 102, 197. They're no mugs, and she was only in receipt of £3 from them. And she did it very easily. I do like her quite a bit for this. Her run behind Indigo Girl in the May Hill looks good. I think she's got an absolute outstanding chance, really, carrying next to no weight, especially as the only other front runner in the field, Mamora, is coming off the back of a 251-day break. She does go well fresh, though, Mamora, and she's a nice horse. Just to touch on the other couple of horses, Aminarex for Ed Walker. This horse, I definitely think is improving at a rate of knots. I think she's definitely worth keeping on side going throughout the season. And the further she goes in trip, the better she's going to be. She just takes a while to get going. And I'm just wondering at Goodwood with the downhill finish, I just think by the time she gets going, the front runners are going to be gone and away. Agincourt's the other one who is worth keeping on side still. Had excuses the last twice. At Ascot, she got repeatedly no run, and then she was drawn stall 11 at Goodwood on her final start. She was 5th in the Grade 1 Group 1 Falmouth on soft ground. Soft ground just doesn't suit her, but then she was 2nd by a head to Nazif in a Group 2. Her form figures look good first time up, but she does just shape like she's blowing a little bit towards the end of her races on both occasions that she's been out first time. So these are nice horses, definitely horses to keep on side going forward. So keep an eye on this race, but Lilac Road getting this way is just very hard to ignore, and 2-1 or whichever the price is fair for me.
Okay, yeah, 2-1 at the moment. Agincourt as well had a wind operation and a tongue tie goes on as well for the first time, so they're all things that at least could help either on the first or second one back from a break. So yeah, interesting. Daryl, Andrew.
Fascinating race, this one, and I had a look at the previous winners over the last century, and last time out winners have got a shocking record in this. I really want to take on, there's 3 of them of the 6 runners. Lilac Road and Memorial will hopefully take each other on for the lead. Goodwood last year was a bit of an odd place, and it was very difficult to win from the front on the round course, something that's not always been the case over the years. So if that continues this season, no guarantee that it will. then say Lilac Road and Memora could both be vulnerable. Folas has done really well for this yard. Was rated 60 shortly after leaving Amanda Perrett's yard. Now would be running off 93 with this a handicap for George Bowie's worked wonders with her, but she needs to prove her effectiveness on turf, as does Amnarix. And so I mean, Agincourt is the one I came to. Now she needs a strong pace, and she will hopefully get it with two out and out front runners in the race. Assuming they set a strong pace, and the tongue tie is a positive angle on turf for David O'Mara. And the last 5 years, 5 winners from 25 in this headgear, plus £16, 25 to a £1 stake. And even Illy Carter, the outsider, ran about 20 to 1 for Mick Shannon. She's dropping in class. Now, the majority of winners of this race, this listed race, were unplaced in group company last time out, or unplaced in listed company. So those are sort of stepping up in grade, or taking the handicap or maiden route, generally struggle. So I just thought there could be a funny result here, and I think it's a kind of tricky race with the place pot. You might want to sort of load it up and hope that you get Agincourt and Illy Carter in there. So I might do a few forecasts as well. The ones who were beaten last time out. But okay. Yeah, Agincourt would be the main plate.
Okay.
You're brave. You're feeling brave today.
Yeah, love it.
Well, I've wimped out of putting a bet up in the 2,000 guineas, so I thought I better come out of my shell for this race.
Well, it's all right. You've got the first Hunt Cup to do in a minute, so don't worry. Yeah. So, anything else at Goodwood in any of the other races?
Yeah, just one in the where's it gone? The 345, a horse I mentioned last week at Haydock, who was a non-runner, Dawndiva, who caught the eye at Newmarket on debut last season when doing best of those to come from off the pace in third on the Rolling Mile, and so trained by Brian Meehan. Second time out, it generally went to back them from that particular yard. So if she lines up here, she should go well in the 345.
Yeah, Dawndiva then. In the 345 at Goodwood, that's another one for you. Daryl, anything else for you there?
Not a Goodwood, thank you.
Yeah. We move on to Thirsk then. We thought, as it's so difficult, like trying to find a needle in a haystack, we'd make Daryl and Andrew do this Thirsk Hunt Cup. And
careful how you say it, Leonna. Careful how you say it.
I like Storting for this, who's a big prize. So I'm hoping we see a double in these colours. Don't pull that face, Daryl. If you can't see it.
You stole my selection.
Shut up.
You seriously?
This is my nap. I think that Storting is hard work in general, isn't he? He's a bit keen, needs to be dropped out. I don't know why they keep trying to run him over further either. I think he wants a strongly run mile. I think if they do that this year, we're really going to see the best of this horse. I thought when we saw him on the reappearance, again, 2 furlongs, too keen. They tried to slow things up, then went to the front and then fell in a hole. So back down to a mile. I think we're going to see better things from this horse in handicaps this year. Not letting Daryl steal it. I said it first, so it's my selection. This is normally a strongly run race as well, isn't it? So again, that will suit the keenness for the way of this horse. And as I've said everything that Daryl's going to say, we'll go to Andrew first.
Yeah, I've napped Storting in this race. No, I haven't. No, not at all. But yeah. I like the angle there with that one coming back to a mile. Did win the last time he ran over this trip. I mean, this race. One thing to talk about first is the draw for this race, and any big field handicaps over a mile at Thirsk. Generally, you don't want to be drawn very low. The winner often comes, from a midfield or further back position down the middle of the track. Stall one's 0 from 54 in course and distance handicaps of 14 or more runners in the last 10 years. Stall two's just 1 from 54. And like you say, hopefully it'll be strongly run. I'm looking at the hold-up horses, draw middle to high. Honest Session was a horse I tipped up for the Lincoln trial on his debut for David Barron at Wolverhampton back in March, and he ran an absolute stormer, finishing second. On his last Irish run, he ran into a couple of horses at Galway called Current Option and Ajured. Both of those have won at least once since, and are now rated £8 and £10 higher. Whereas he's £1 lower. So Honest Session could go well. John Baptiste as well, 4th start for George Bowie. George Bowie's a brilliant trainer, very up and coming. But when he takes a horse over from another trainer, he's never won with them at the first time of asking. Generally speaking, he brings them along slowly. They need their first, second, or even third run for the yard. The last twice, he's been beaten narrowly at Leicester and Nottingham, both tracks that favour prominent tactics. He's come from the pace on each occasion, only just got chinned. And so now it's fourth run for the yard. I thought Jean Baptiste, he'd run a good race. Nugget, I wanted to be against near the head of the market. He's never won round a turn. He's never gone back to back. And I think the reason he likes straight tracks is because he needs room in his races. And he often finds trouble in big fields round a turn. So
and he's drawn in 4.
And he's drawn in 4. So, I mean, I'm nothing against his ability, but he's a candidate here to find trouble in running. And Hortzadar's another small field horse, but when he was drawn on the outside in the Lincoln, he finished third at 66-1 because he got loads of room in the race. He's then gone to Newmarket, where he was drawn worst of all in stall 1. This is day 1 of the Craven meeting, where you had to be prominent up the rail. And he's given a patient ride as well. So he had 0 chance. He's finished 6th this 7. Draw a line through that. He's drawn on the outside here, so he could be one who finishes down the outer at a big price. But yes, I was like, on a session, Jean Baptiste, Hortzadar. I'll go Jean Baptiste if I have to be pinned down to just one hit.
Well, you don't, but being as you picked that one. Jean Baptiste then about 14-1, but they're all each way prices on a session. I think I've got about 10s. As we've got so many horses, you can't pick the same one. So, Daryl, what do you like in this?
I can't believe you picked that out of all of those horses. This is a really good field as well, with loads of chances. You picked that one. I can't believe it. I thought, I'll just emphasise basically what you said. Storting, I thought at Newbury really caught the eye the way he was travelling through the race. I was betting him running on that race. Yeah. I couldn't get enough on him. He pulled to the front, got to the front.
I hope that Shannon is doing one of his little tricky that he does sometimes, and they know it wants a mile, and it will not be the price when the race goes. That's
what I'm hoping. I backed him in running, and he just didn't see it out. And then I went back through his form, and he didn't see it out again at York. Time before that, he's had a run at Doncaster on heavy ground over a mile 2. He's never going to see that out. Same Doncaster. We go back to a mile. The last time he won, beating Eva Maria. Eva Maria is now rated 88. So actually, £6 higher than the selection, or £4 or £5 higher than the selection. And at Goodwood the time before that, he was drawn stall 14 in a good race, good class 3 0 to 95. He's drawn stall 14 right out wide. He's made a massive move all the way around the field. He was sweating up something cruel, and just didn't get home. But you can forgive him that in an apprentice handicap on the back of a gelding operation. I felt prior to that, his only other run, really, on good to firm ground, came at Salisbury behind Humanitarian, who's rated 106, and Algonac, who's rated 110. Finished third that day again, just didn't see the trip out. I definitely think he wants a mile. I think he wants quick ground, and I think he wants a strongly run race. And I thought that is everything he's going to get here, and he's raced for it, and he's 33-1.
I agree. Excuse me.
We'll just get him to clip that bit where you go, I agree.
No. Storting, I really like, exactly. Anything else at first? That's the only race I'm covering there.
350 Benefit Street, the 6 furlong handicap, did really well to split the pair right back, Swiss Pride and Caponanti Con at Lingfield last time after he made the running towards the inside rail, which was obviously slower that day. So first time visor back on turf, Benefit Street in the 350s. 6-1 is the only price I've seen.
Yeah, me too. And he's, again, Tom Morley and his mother own him, so that will probably win. Daryl?
No, nothing for me over there, Leonna.
Okay, that's it for Thirsk then. We've got another corking day at Punchestown as well. A couple of graded races. The 320, grade 1 for the mares. Obviously, Colin Mullins, no surprise, has a very strong hand in this. Daryl, do you want to start us?
Talking about Benefit Street, that's where I'll be on if I keep backing these Irish mares. That Countess, that Concertista cost me an absolute fortune at Cheltenham. Just absolutely disgusting behaviour. I've not got a strong opinion. I'm going to throw a couple of quid at Lorena just because I'm sentimental like that, and the fact that she's a 20-1 shot, and why not? On the balance of her form, why not? I know she's had her issues, but yeah, I don't really like the angle of Concertista first time tongue tie. Not sure how they're going to react to that. I thought Stormy Island would probably try and make all the run in here. And she looks more than happy back over in Ireland, doesn't she? She's only been beaten by Benediju and Lorena here at Punchestown in 3 attempts. The form book with Black Tears ties in with Concertista. I thought Stormy Island could could put a bit more embarrassment on Paul Nicholls in this race. But look, there's not really going to be a bet. I'm going to have a couple of quid on Lorena. I wouldn't advise you to have a couple of quid on Lorena though. But
for second one back from Windhoek for Lorena as well. So hopefully that will make some difference. Andrew?
Yeah, no strong opinion. Just another Willie Mullins benefit, probably. Yeah, interesting to see Burning Victory coming back. First run since that Triumph Hurdle victory last season. But yeah, just a race to watch and enjoy for me. Probably Concertista if I had to pick one, but I won't be having a bet in the race.
Yeah, okay. And then the 4 o'clock, Rachel Blackmore and Henry de Bromhead. What a great time of things they've been having. They've got Kixilos in here, obviously the favourites at the moment. And we all saw here at Cheltenham. Is he going to be the best or is he too short?
Who's that to? Is that me, Leonna?
You.
Okay, I'll go. Yeah, I mean, the worry is how Henry de Bromhead's horses who've been running at Cheltenham have actually gone so far this week at Punchestown. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Quilixios take a backward step. I could certainly leave him alone at around about 15-8. I was quite interested in Horton Couleurs, who was third in that race, the Triumph Hurdle, at 20-1 on his British debut. That was quite an effort. On his debut for Willie Mullins, first run for the yard. So that was some effort. 7-2, third favourite or thereabouts, I think he is. So I'd rather side with him. Jeff Kidder as well, the Fred Winter winner, has given that form a boost with a win since, and is bidding for a hat trick. So yeah, Horton Couleurs and Jeff Kidder, my two against Quilixios and Zanahiyr. Could be a little bit of an upset, perhaps.
Okay. 7-2 and 12-1 respectively I've got at the moment. Daryl?
Yeah, this is your life for the biggest losing bets at the Cheltenham Festival. Concertista and now Zanahiyr.
Oh, no.
Yeah, look, I was absolutely livid with Jack Kennedy at Cheltenham. I'll be honest with you. He settled Zanahiyr in behind Talking About You, who's a 134 rated horse, and trying to take a lead off a 134 rated horse who's just not got up to the class of these juveniles, and then found himself in a little bit of trouble, and then tried to pull out and didn't have enough to quicken. The field went past him, and he stayed on nice down the hands and heels again. I don't think that was a real Zanahiyr. Honestly, I don't. Not with what he did over in Ireland previously. Now, whether it's the travel over for the first time tongue tie, whatever it wasn't him. So, given he's only been beaten 4 3/4 lengths under hand and heels right at the finish, I think I'm going to give him another shout at 5-2. Like Andrew said, this Horton Couleurs, that was some performance, just remarkable, really, on his first start for Willie Mullins, first start in the UK, first start for 169 days. He's only going to improve on that, isn't he? But I just don't think that was the real Zanahiyr. The other one I would just want to give a quick mention to is Zafarian. I think this horse is a proper horse. I do. I love the way he finished at Ballan Road last time, really strongly in a handicap hurdle for mark 132. He's sort of, I like juveniles when they earn their rating the right way, when they earn their rating through handicap ranks, rather than, the handicapper guessing about, the 145s or the 150s where they are. This Safani, and he made that. Yeah, exactly. And he made that loads of ground behind Jeff Kidder in the Boodles handicap, coming right from the rear. He just had too much to do. He's rated 140. That won't put him too far off where he needs to be, I don't think, with natural improvement, and he's a 50-1 shot. So Zafanian gets a little bit of a fair shout, but hopefully Zanahiyr can reverse that form with Quilixios. I won't be having the sizable bet I had on him at Cheltenham, that's for sure. But hopefully he can give me claw back a little tiny bit of my money.
Let's hope so. Anything from anywhere else to add to all of those?
No, that's it for me.
No.
Yeah, no, that's it for me. It's a busy weekend.
Naps. Minus Storting, of course.
Of course. I think I'll go for Arecibo in the Palace House Stakes.
Daryl?
I'll go for Sir Ron Priestley.
I'm going to say, you can't steal mine. Mine is Storting the first.
Grow up, Leonna.
I just can't do it. Justin, obviously plenty of racing for you this weekend, obviously Saturday and Sunday. As always, thank you for watching, and make sure you do get in touch with us via social media as well with all of your selections, or why you do or don't like ours. And don't forget to check out the website, GG.CO.UK. Obviously, got all the race cards and plenty of other daily tips on there as well.